I think we're live right now. It should. I think it starts and then, you know what I mean.
Yeah.
This portion will be on the on the YouTube stream.
Awesome. Oh, yeah. I just got a YouTube notification that you're live.
Oh, okay, great, great.
Here we are. Yeah. There's an odd delay to it, but yeah, I'll just keep looking at the screen so it doesn't freak me out.
Okay, yeah. All right, and I just want to, before we kind of get started and talk about what we're doing here, I want to make sure that I can see the chat in case it is a Saturday night, you know, so, and I haven't done this in a while, so we'll see who pops in and joins us. Otherwise, I'm looking forward to showing you what I'm doing in my case so far and open to suggestions.
Yeah, ever since you told me the other day how much you have packed into a travel case, I've been really curious to kind of see it, like see what is all in there. I think that's awesome.
Cool. Cool. For some reason, I cannot see where my stream is, so I don't know. Videos. Oh, here we go. All right, cool. Here we are. Okay, sweet. All right, so here we are. So yeah, so Saturday night, and that's what I'm doing. You know, home, trying to prepare for my shows. I have the one patched out with Alex in Denver, which I'm really looking forward to, and looking forward to meeting you in person. And yeah, and then the Velocity in Seattle, which is, I'm really excited for that as well. So I thought, why not prepare this case, because it's just like 1 week after the next, and just kind of get ready to play, like, not only, so this is a little bit different because not only am I preparing my case to perform as though like I'm playing by myself, but I'm actually playing with Alex, ALX 106, for both shows. And we're going to give a workshop at Velocity, and we're going to talk about how we basically come together, you know, and we say back to back, but really it's like we're constantly layering over the top of each, like music over the top of each other. So it's like being able to, preparing for both, you know, and being able to be, you know, versatile. So yeah, so I am, yeah, let me see. Let me switch views and we can go over. So I have two views, just so you're aware too. I have the this main view, and I'm gonna walk over there and kind of walk you through what I have in my case. And then I have this other view here. So this one is like, just let me know if you want to take a closer look at something. And this camera is a little bit, I can move it around. So this one is so in case you want to have a closer look at something.
Right.
Cool.
Yeah, that's great.
All right, so yeah, let me go over there and did you hear that?
Yeah. That was odd.
Sorry about that.
Kind of like some switched on the vacuum cleaner.
Yeah, that was me dropping my wireless mic. All right. And yeah, clearly I have not done this live stream in a minute, but hopefully I might have to mute for just a moment just to make sure that that doesn't happen again. Okay, anyway. All right, so over here I have my, let's see, what are you looking at? I have my Octatrack, and I am I'm basically running the main audio through, like my master, through the Octatrack. And thank you for, you know, talking to me about this. And I'm using EasyBot's performance template, right? And with
crazy the option it gives you.
yeah. And I love that, you know, you have your special request on there, the way he built that effect for you. Like, it works so great. Yeah, so I thought, at first I was using the Zoya, which I have up here. I'm not sure if you can see that. I think it's like underneath your. So I was initially using a patch on the Zoya, and it has like a phaser, high pass, low pass, you know, just sort of like some quick DJ style effects on the master. But then like with the whole EasyBot performance, like the various ways to, you know, do different effects, I was like, let me try the Octatrack. It's been a minute since I've used it, so I was like, why not, you know? But okay, so the case, like basically in my case, I'm using the assimilator, and for my assimilator, I have a bunch of like percussion in it. Let me just kind of. So I have hats, claps. I have one dedicated single cycle oscillator on one of the channels, and that's sort of like, and I don't know if you can hear that.
Yeah.
And then on the last channel, I have a loop, and it's a percussion loop. And what I'm doing with that is I'm using CV to trigger it at different start points. So you can kind of hear that. So with the assimilator, what I can do with that is like I can change up a drum kit, but then what my plan is that I'm gonna basically keep using like the same like hi-hats, claps, like classic sounds, you know, classic 909 sounds. But then each time I change the kit, like on track 1, I have maybe like a vocal, like just like a little vocal stab. On number 7, I have a single cycle oscillator, single cycle waveform, excuse me, and it'll change depending on which kit. And then the track 8, I put a different loop on it. So that's so far, that's the plan for the assimilator. And like I said, this is all sort of a new situation for me. I have the 410, which is basically controlling the hi-hat, the open and closed, like the opening the release on the sample itself, which I can modulate through the assimilator. And then I'm modulating the opening and close itself with the Batumi, this LFO right here, which I think I told you, you know, I love sliders and I like things that have like visual indications so you can see how fast that LFO is moving, but I can quickly, you know, slide it and change it up. And so the idea was like I wanted to have hi-hats like instead of, you know, just obviously like open and close hi-hats, but sort of give it some movement that I'm not, you know, just kind of give it some of that human sort of movement using the LFO. So I have 2 effects aids, which I haven't patched up this first one yet, which I have it set to a delay. And on this one I have reverb on it. And then my new addition to the case, or just this case, but in cases in general, is the Kickain by Knobula. And I had the manual right here. I had it right here because I really wanted to talk about this because for the longest time I had the Jomox in my case, the Jomox kick, and I love it. You know, I like the fact that you could save these presets, but the Kickain, I think it sounds so good. And just like, if I could just play it to you for a second, it's just the way you can dial it in and change up your kick out and the size, you know, it just, yeah, here, I'll play it a little bit for you. So you can add like decay, you can add a click to it, you can drive it.
Oh, nice.
And it's so easy to shape, you know, like that was why I like, you know, it's very easy, like click, it says click, click. So I immediately get these changes in the kick, and it has a reverb on here too if you really want to, you know, I like a little reverb on a kick sometimes when I get into some hard techno. Yeah. And it has the sidechain, and I have used, it has like this little boost cut right here, but it has a sidechain feature on it as well, which I have used, but I'm not using it in this case. But I love how it's just so easy. You know what I mean? And like, I think we,
When I was looking at that, you mentioned that when we were talking the other day, and I kind of looked it up to see what it does, and it really seemed like I know you're an Ableton user as well,
yeah,
and it really like you know the drum bus effect in Ableton.
yeah. Mm-hmm.
It almost felt like the Kickain was that. It has like the same kind of like drive, decay, add click here, add some reverb, and it just felt like a real like drum shaper.
Yes, yes, exactly. Like, I mean, I could even like I said, I'm still in the process of patching this case. Like, I have a bunch of cables here, so in case, you know, as we're chatting, I need to patch a little bit more. But, you know, I can modulate the decay. I can put an accent on it. There's even a volt per octave. But it just, yeah, it just sounds so good and so immediate. Like, even with the Jomox, as much as it was like, I like that you could save presets on it, it was like a lot of cycling through. I don't know if you ever used the Jomox, but it was like cycling through the menu, like getting to the menu, like dialing it in, but then you had to like kind of cycle through, save, and this is just so immediate. Like, I can just immediately, like, I can change a tune. And yeah, like so that was a no-brainer for me to put this in the case. Again, so I have the Batumi, that's my LFO, like, which I like the sliders, it's visual. And the next module I have in here is the Osiris. And I've had the Osiris for a minute, and I just like the flexibility of it. Like, I can, here, I'll play a little bit for you too. So I have it patched. So how I have it patched is, before I turn it up, is, so I have it running through this MMF filter. And on the MMF filter, I'm pinging the ping input with a track, with a gate from the Metron.
You're sequencing that.
I'm sequencing it, exactly. So I'm sequencing the ping, and then if you come over here, like down here, can you see this? It's like a switch. Let me see if you can. That's, so I have these 1U adapters. So I have this 4U module right here, this 1U adapter, which is pretty handy. And this is a switch. And what I'm doing is I'm sending pitch from the vector sequencer on one side, and then pitch from the Volterra on another side, and then sending that back out to the volt per octave on the Osiris. So then I can quickly switch. So I know, right? So between using the vector sequencer as controlling the pitch, or the Volterra and the Metron sequencer controlling the pitch. So the idea is that I can, depending on what I have going on the Volterra, I can then come over here and write something on the vector, or vice versa. So I'm kind of trying this whole 2 sequencer thing here, where it's like, for the most part, all the gates and triggers are coming off the Metron, but I have a couple voices coming, being, you know, volt per octave from the Volterra, and then I have some voices from the vector sequencer. So yeah, so like the idea is that, like I said, that way I have the option, like if this voice is going, and I can quickly come over and write something on the vector, and I can kind of get into the sequencers a little bit more, but the reason why I'm using 2 sequencers, but I want to play the Osiris, like so like how I have it patched. Oh, and I have it going through this variable delay too. So this little 1U this mosaic module right here. So yeah, it's like another little 1U module. It's super powerful. Like it has a freeze button on it too. So here's a dry. Adding the delay. But the Osiris, I just love how it just sounds so. You can get these from using these XY modulate, like moving through the wave file, like. And then this delay kind of gives you that bubbly, like. And then the reverb that you're hearing on the delay there is this is on the performance mixer on the send and return is the effects aid. Right now I don't have the
okay.
yeah, so then that way I can, you know, open this up and send it to the reverb.
Do you just have one of the effect sends that you're using, or do you have the other one sent somewhere else?
I'm going to patch the other. I have two effects aids. So one with the reverb, and this one right here with the. It's set. I have it set to the delay already. I just need to patch it, and I'll patch that on the return channel 1. So right now I just have one patch, but throughout either tonight or throughout as I'm writing music, I am going to patch that so I can put the delay on. Yeah.
Yeah, in my case, I have those two effect sends out of the performance mixer going into the two different effects in the Erica sends, the dual effects.
Yeah.
And so I got one going into the delay and one going to the reverb, and I just have that like set right next to that in the case.
Nice. Yeah, like so.
One delay, one reverb, so you can choose per channel which one you want to send it to.
Exactly. Yeah. I think that. In fact, I even need to screw this in. I'm sure somebody's watching it, like watching. I'm notorious for not screwing in modules, but but yeah. So I just patched it right now, just on the send and return, and I should probably put a screw in there. But yeah, so yeah, that's the Osiris, and then I have the BIA. And the BIA, it's a percussion module. A lot of people use it as a kick. I think I told you, like, this is one of my all-time favorite modules. I typically use it now as either a bass or a lead. So, so this is the BIA. And like how I have this one patched is I have it running through this dual looping delay. So that's where you're getting that. And then I just opening up the reverb on the send. Oh, it's going through, hang on. It's going through my QMMF, my Schwayman filter.
Okay.
So in fact, I think I even need to label this. I mean, I think that's part of, because as I changed it, like, so I have 4 channels on the QMMF filter, but so on the first, well, I'll get to the first one, but right now, yeah, I have on the second channel, it's going through here, which is nice because I can control the level of the output. I can modulate this as well, but it's just such a smooth filter, you know? And then I have the Domino, which is like my 303 sounding module that I really like. I don't know if I have a, let me see if I have, I don't know if I have a sequence on it yet, I'll just play a sequence. I really like this module. It sounds so good. Like, yeah, it can get pretty crazy too. So I have this module, and it has, listen to this. It can, so you can really get it, like really, get some modulation in there. So I'm debating on patching the F mod from the Batumi, and just kind of, just as an option to kind of move that around, get the modulation going on it. But yeah, so not only does it have the filter built into the module, like, but I have it then running through the MMF too. Yeah, I like it a lot. It's like one of my favorites. And then I have it running through the other side of the dual looping delay. So, and then I'm using reverb on the send. So I like this. I've been liking doing this whole combination of using direct, like putting effects like directly on one specific sound, and then using like the send like a reverb. I feel like I have a little bit more control then over where each sound is like where it's being placed in the frequency, and then I can kind of grab the delay like rhythmically and have that delay be part of the performance, if that makes sense.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's cool because that way you can set different delays to different delay lengths on different sounds depending on how you want to use them. Or if it's on a send, like everything has to be, eighth notes if that's what you have it set at. Like you can't divide it up per instrument.
Exactly. Yeah. Hey, electronic. Oh, I see some people in the chat. Electronic Sounds. Hey, Dean, Utan. Hopefully, I said your name right. Cool. But yeah. So that's like I've been really liking. Like I like doing that. Like having that specific control, and typically with the delays. I tend to, as we go through, you'll probably realize like I tend to use filters. I have more filters in my case than actual VCAs. I think I have only one traditional VCA in this case right now, and that's just this one right here. And how I have it patched is, so the voice that I have, the single cycle waveform that I have coming off the assimilator, so that's on, let me kind of open that up. So I have it running through the VCA, and then the envelope that's controlling it is this Instro envelope. And I think I was telling you about this envelope, why I like it, because you can see immediately, like, I don't know, can you see that right now? Or
Yeah.
I kind of like do this. I don't know if you can, that gives you a little bit closer look, but they're sliders. And it's a nice indicator, so I can see what's happening with the sound before even pushing up the fader, like whether the decay is open too much or, so I like that.
Cool. I like that.
Yeah, the visual.
How you have the feedback from the lights as well. It's not just the position of the slider.
Exactly. So I can tell how fast the sequence is that's going into it too. Yeah.
Right.
And then that voice, so that voice is actually patched into the first channel on the QMMF. So yeah, this filter is very buttery.
Yeah, it sounds pretty good.
Yeah.
More space in my case for something that big.
Yeah. I have a lot of big modules in my case, but I feel like I justified having them in there. You know what I mean? Like this, like there's basically 4 separate filters for the QMMF. And then with the sequencer, I mean the assimilator the idea is making those kits, so I can just quickly go through and change the kit. So I can quickly change the kit. The next thing I have here is the Crucible, which is I'm basically using that as sort of like, it's like cymbals and rides. So I don't know if you can hear that. And what I'm doing with that is like they have like a size, decay, input on the module, like, and I'm taking 3 sequences from the Metron and sequencing the Crucible, like pinging that let's see, it's like hard for me to see. It says it's called edge and mid, and I can't see and choke. So what I'm doing is I'm utilizing all those inputs to be able to kind of create that.
Right. That's one thing that I've been really loving about having 16 tracks on the Metron.
Yeah.
Being able to use them as kind of creative, like CV and gate sequencers.
Yeah.
Or, sorry, sequencers and gate and trigger sequencers. trigger random things in a sequenced way, and it's really cool to be able to have enough channels to do that.
Yeah, I mean, like you have 16, which is great. I think I'm debating on ordering the I don't have the accent module yet, the 4U, where how you can connect and you get the extra accents.
Yeah.
And I think that well, as we moved here, I think I'm not utilizing this envelope, the Javelin right now for this. So I think what I might take out the Javelin and order the accent so I can have even more, you know what I mean, and be able to accent
Right.
even more like triggers, if that makes any sense. You know what I mean?
Yeah, for sure.
And then next, I'm trying the sample drum. Like I had this module a while back, like when I first got into Eurorec, I bought the sample drum, and then I don't know, something about it, I couldn't get into it, so I sold it. And then I got it again after watching Jeremy's channel. God, why am I blanking out? But I know you know who I'm talking about. Red means recording. I think that's yeah. He did a really good job, like just I don't know, like breaking it down, because there were not any videos, any good ones anyway, out on this module. So like he went through and like really explained like how like the like how powerful it is and what you can do, and it's great. So I just dumped like on one channel I have like a hang on, I don't even know what I have here. Hang on. So on one channel I put like just like a wave, like it's like a FM sample on there, and then let me see. So I have like an FM, and then on the bottom track, I have this other. It's like these where you can put like a full loop, but then you can slice it and then trigger it. So trigger it in the slices. So similar to what I'm doing on the assimilator on track 8, but now I kind of have an option of like, okay, I can, if one isn't working, I can try the next one, and then I can quickly go over the Metron and sequence it. You know, sequence where I'm triggering one of them. So the idea is like, yeah, like I wanted to kind of load up just a bunch of like just top loops, you know, like I have a collection of just crazy random like top loops or break beats and stuff, and then just be able to just be more improvisational, you know what I mean? Like be able to just pull one up in either the sample drum or on the track on the assimilator, and then just kind of sequence where I'm triggering it and just kind of get like a rhythm out of the loop, if that makes sense. Yeah, so
Do you, when you're performing live, if you were doing something like that in a performance,
yeah.
do you use the cue out from the performance mixer and cue things and listen to them and kind of shape something and then bring it in? Or is this stuff that you're like all preparing all of it in advance?
No, like, so the idea is if it's a voice, like if it's like, you know, like an actual pitched melodic voice, like the BIA, I'll do it. I'll write a sequence in the cue. And that's the thing, like, so especially playing with Alex, like he's going to be layering things. And so I'm like, I'm not going to have all these things happening at once, obviously, right? So he'll have some things going, but I need to be able to know like, hey, what key are you in? And I can go over here and write something. So I am going to prepare a couple of patterns. So just to kind of get us going. And then from there, I'm just going to kind of improvise it. And then when it comes to these triggering like these loops, like determining where on the loop I'm triggering it, I'm just gonna wing it and like put it in and then just drop a couple triggers and then slowly build where I'm gonna trigger it in the loop, if that makes sense.
Yeah, and do you do that in the cue, or do you do that, you know, just kind of throw it out there?
Well, that one I'll probably just throw it out there because it's just top like little percussion. Like listen, so like if I put this in, like, so here's like, so you hear that little shuffle underneath there is like that loop, right? it's just like those little extra textures, you know. So I'm probably, with that stuff, I'm just gonna kind of just write that in and wing it, not do it in the headphone.
Yeah, and I mean, again, that's another thing I found in kind of my limited time with this, that with that Metron sequencer, it's a really easy, because I love to play sequencers like an instrument, right? What, playing them live.
Yeah.
It's such a great one for that because it's really easy to see what's going on, like 4 full tracks at a time, and to be able to go in and add something and move it and take it out really quickly while you're playing. That's one of my favorite things about that sequencer.
Yeah, no, I agree with you completely. Somebody just asked, so yeah, like somebody, synthetic, hey, how's it going? They just asked about the polycinematic. So yeah, that was my next step, being over to that. So that's my next voice. So perfect timing, right? So this is where it's like, okay, am I making my life more difficult, or is it like I just have to kind of jam? I think like over the next week, I just need to jam on this case and just try to remember where everything is. Because, so like talking about the polycinematic, if I look right here on the performance mixer, this is the BIA, right? But the great thing about the performance mixer, if anybody has this mixer, you can have like stereo, you have a couple stereo channels here, obviously, right? But then you have these channels that are mono, and you can decide, they can essentially become 2 channels instead of 1. So listen, I have the BIA, but if I switch it, I have the polycinematic now down here.
Yeah.
So now I can, so now it's the polycinematic instead, right? Or I can put them together.
On my performance mixer.
Yeah.
In that, like, setting the same patterns to different voices, and then having those voices come into those 2 channels and being able to switch back and forth or layer them as multiple voices on the same. So you're making like a multi-oscillator voice.
Yes, yeah.
Them through the channel.
Yeah, no, totally. Like, there's so many ways to do it. So that's where it's like, okay, so now this is where my head is like, am I creating extra work, or how's the workflow? Because now, like, so I have the BIA, so this is the polycinematic. So yes, I love the polycinematic. How I'm using the polycinematic, I'm using it over MIDI. So and I'm sequencing it with the vector sequencer. And the reason why I'm sequencing it specifically with the vector is because the vector can sequence chords. It has a chord capability. So I can sequence, you know, this is an 8-voice synth, you know, the polycinematic. So I can build and put a chord on these notes, whereas like most sequencers, you would have to take a lane, a volt per octave, multiple volt per octave lanes in order to get that polyphony, you know what I mean? So like with this, I'm like, screw it, I'm using MIDI. It takes MIDI. So that's, so here's, so if I want to, like here, I don't know if you can kind of see that sequence happening. Maybe I can just cut in a little bit. No, that's probably not better, but so the idea is, let me, if I stop it for a moment, and maybe I can just turn this. So if you can kind of see the notes a little bit there. So now if I go like this, I can add, it says 2, 3, 4, 5. So now I can play a 5th there and turn on this note. So if I, let me put it right here. Can you hear that?
Yeah.
That. Oh, it's, I live in SoCal, and Disney fireworks are about to go off right now. So, but so yeah. So the idea with the polycinematic is like, I love it because it's super powerful. I can play chords with it, and yeah, no, it has a reverb on it. So I really like to use the reverb on it, and I'm also running it through the QMMF as another filter, even though it has a filter on it. So that's the, Yeah, but no, this polysomatic is great.
Yeah,
You
that
can get,
sounds great.
yeah, you can get really trancy or get like, you can take it in so many different directions. Um, yeah, and then it has a, so my idea for the polycinematic is because it has a reverb on it, now I'm going to do the opposite and take advantage of the send on one and use the delay. So like if I'm, and hope, yeah. But you know, kind of do the opposite thing, whereas the other channels I was using more the reverb. That's the one thing I have to say, like I love the performance mixer. It's super powerful. You get all these extra channels. The one thing is that send and return that you can't, you have to decide one or the other. So it's like,
so funny. I was just thinking
yeah.
exactly the same thing. I wish it had the same toggle as the AV on the inputs,
Yeah.
so you could choose send one, send two, or both.
Yeah, no, that would be like, I think that would just, you know, make it. I'm gonna screw this in because it's driving me a little bonkers. But yeah, like that. That's like the, if I had to say anything, you know, like could, that I would want to improve, that would be it. I mean, yeah, like, but I love this. I love this mixer. I think it's fantastic.
Yeah,
You
no,
know.
I've been loving it too. It's really cool.
Yeah.
I love it too because, like, coming from a DJ background, I love the fact that it has cues per channel and it has like it feels very familiar.
Yes, yeah. And I like that you can set your gains. So that was the other thing. So now when I'm getting into running two voices on one channel, it's like, cuz the BIA, like if those of you, I think you got the BIA, it's loud. It's very it's just loud, right? So like what I have to do is in the polycinematic, it's not as loud. So what I'm doing is I'm not only am I running it obviously through the QMMF, so I can, you know, it has, I can boost the output, but I have the guillotine sorry, in here by Ritual Electronics, and that I use that to boost the gain to the polycinematic to match the level of the BIA because I only have one.
You don't have to change the gain on the mixer.
Right, and it's not like, you know, like, so when I switch to the BIA and I'm playing in a club and I forget, and all of a sudden it's like railing hot, you know. So that's why it's like, okay, so I had to think about that. Like, you have to think about, you know, like which voices are you going to put on a single channel. So am I going to be using the polycinematic a lot with the BIA, or will I be using a different voice where it's like, okay, like when I'm not using the BIA, will I want to use the polycinematic? So I'm trying that and see what happens over the next week with jamming, if it causes any, you know, if it kind of throws me off or not. But so far, I'm liking it. I'm liking them on the same channel together. Yeah, yeah. And if anyone else has any questions, yeah, drop them in the chat. Let's see. So I have the Javelin. I was debating on using another single cycle. Here, let me switch back over in there. So then that's why I put the other envelope. But I think if I'm not using an envelope, I think I might take this out. And what was I saying earlier that I'm gonna? Oh, maybe you getting an accent.
Accent one.
Yeah, yeah. And then let's see, the bass for that on the sample drum, I have it going through an MMF filter. So I love the MMF filter. Like I have 2 of them in here. I technically have 3 because the Carbon is the new and improved MMF. They're the WMD, like, so yeah, they're great. They're 4 HP. They sound fantastic. You can ping them.
Yeah, I have the Carbon in my case, and right now that's what I'm running the BIA through.
Yeah, it sounds. Yeah, they're great. Like.
Yeah, it's a great combo. It sounds really good.
Yeah, yeah. Let's see, what else do I have in here? I have this Expert Sleepers little Mikey. I'm debating on doing some live vocals. I like to do vocals sometimes, so I might do like a live vocal and just like sample it or something in the assimilator on the vocal track. So that's like,
Where's the rest of our crew?
So I might just sample in track 1 with the mic is what I might do, or just so I could do like those little techno phrases or some shit, just to do something different. Let's see.
Actually, so it's funny, I see you've got the 1010 black box there.
Yeah.
That's also, it's funny because my setup right now is my modular, my Octatrack, and the 1010 black box. And then you turned this on, and I was like, oh, this all looks kind of familiar. It should more stuff to me. But the black box for me, I use that for so of the 16 pads in each preset, I've got 8 of them that are random vocal things.
Okay.
8 of them that are like atmospheres.
So
like,
cool.
Vinyl static or like rain or like some random thing to just kind of layer underneath everything.
Right.
To fill out the soundscape.
Nice. Yeah. No. That's great. Like, when I used the black box before, I would use it in conjunction, with everything, and then I would send program changes to it from the vector sequencer, because you can change a pattern and then change a program, and I can sequence. But I'm trying something different in the sense that, so there are like little short songs, I guess I'm using that term very loosely, like like maybe just 4 or 8 bar phrases that I went into Ableton and kind of wrote, and then like I sampled some guys, like some jazz artist, and then kind of turned it into a house track sort of situation. But my plan is to have those sort of songs and have them be independent. So like if I go to the black box, I have one in here. I need to load up more. I wrote some more, but let me see what I have in here. And then I have it running into, let's see, where is it? This filter right here, this state variable filter, which these little 1U modules, they're great. Like, they're small, but they're powerful, so here, so again, I'm taking advantage of the dual channel. So instead of that, I can switch it, and now it's, so now I'm using the black box, right? And I have this filter. So I just wrote a bunch of changes, like, sorry, let me stop that. But so the idea I'm trying to do is like write only music and melody over here with no drums, and so that way like I can transition, I guess. You know what I mean? Like, and use the drums that are kind of running, transition over here, and then that like gives me a moment to kind of to just regroup and figure out like what I want to do next over here. So I'm trying this. It's a suggestion from Alex, and that's the way he's been using the black box as well. And so I was like, all right, let me, I've used it so many ways. Like, let me try it your way, just to see the workflow, see if I like it. Yeah. So I wrote like a few, so I need to dump them in there yet. But this was just like my trial one to see if like, okay, like I have this housey, jazzy house groove if I want to kind of switch it up.
Great.
Yeah.
So the way that I'm controlling for effects, like you have that running through a filter in your case.
Yeah.
And I'm using the external effects in the black box, but I'm controlling it with the Launch Control XL. After I watched Ricky Tina's video on how to control the black box with that, it just blew my mind. I was like, oh, that's awesome. And so I've got the 8 faders are tracks 1 through 8 volume. And then the first level of knob is filter, like high pass, low pass, depending if it's right, left. And then the next row of knobs is the volume for tracks 9 through 16. And then the top knobs is all the high pass, low pass. So I've got a volume and a filter that's controlled without having to kind of go through the menus in the black box. and without having to use something external.
Nice. Yeah. Like that's, I mean, the black box is so powerful. You can do so much. Like I just sampled into it earlier, like a little like baseline riff that, you know, I was like, oh, I was patching, repatching, and I knew I was just going to unpatch and delete it. So I was like, let me just sample it really fast. So in case I wanted to use it. But yeah, no, it's great. Like, yeah, the effects on it are, I think are, yeah, it's just like technically you really could even play like a full set with just like the black box and like a controller. But yeah, no, totally. But yeah, so that's how I'm using the black box. And then I have this what's it called, this FSU, this IntelliGel. So how I have that patched, let me just kind of turn down the kick a little bit. So like the Metron, one thing I love about it is the fills, right? So it has like this fill channel. But then it also has this channel where you can go to global and you can use the assign in, and you have 2 of them, right? So I just assign this, so like this looping thing. So it's just like, you know, like just to kind of, you know, like effect, you know, like to change it up or change up. I'm trying to find like a better example here. Oh, because I want to show you another way. Let me just kind of go back to this kit. So one of the things, let me see. So one thing I like to do also with the mixer is like how I'm trying to think of how I can take a pattern and make a variation without actually having to rewrite a pattern. So I'm using one of the gate outs. So it's just a way to switch it up, you know, like just to have like an alternative way to break.
You're basically connecting a gate sequence to
the CV of the level.
channel.
Yes, exactly. So here's the level. Yeah, I like to do, so the whole idea with this setup is like, what can I do to have that flexibility to do some weird shit, and if it goes wrong, be able to like recover from it, like, and be able to, you know, get back to like a solid pattern, or, you know, just so I can maybe try to take a little more risks. Like, yeah, that's mainly.
I saw on one of Alex's videos that he was talking about performance with the Metron, how he would copy a variation from like, or copy from A to B, so you've got the same thing on both.
Right,
and
right.
Just start messing around with B and doing all kinds of things with that variation, and then just reload A. And
Yeah.
go back to your same kind of groove that you're in.
Exactly.
I thought that was cool too, to be able to. It's kind of like on the Electron boxes where you can temporarily save your pattern and then mess with stuff and then reload to that kind of safe place where you were.
Yeah.
It's like the modular version of that.
Yeah.
That was really cool.
No, I agree with you completely. Like, I have to say, like, I mean, I've had the Metron for a while, and like, and then I got into the Vector because I like seeing the notes. I'm very visual, but I've always loved the possibilities, being able to see, like, so you have all these linear, like 4 tracks at once, and then when you know, Alex was out here and we played, like we did a little show out here for SoCal, like event, and he was just showing me, you know, just like, you know how it is. Like I'm sure everyone that's watching the stream, you have modules, and you're gonna realize this too, Surco. You're gonna find modules you like. You're gonna love them for a little while, and then you're gonna set them down because you're gonna find a bunch of other shit you like, right? And then like someone's gonna like remind you, like, oh shit, like all these other things that you didn't get an opportunity to try, or you just forgot about, you know, from this other and that's what happened with the Metron. I was like, I forget how it's so powerful. Like you can not only do you have the 5 variations and you can write a variation while you're playing a different variation, you can compose, meaning like you can say play this one twice, play this one once, play this one twice, and now you've recorded a composition. Exactly. And then like, yeah, like, so I have this new love for this combination now, because I feel like right now I'm really feeling it. Like the fact that I can go here and really, the vector for me, like this is where the one thing, like with I'm not the Volterras, like I like them, but I'm not used to having to program my note like that. You know what I mean? Where on here I can see 8 notes at once. I can see what register they're at, whether they're, you know, like above middle C, below middle C, what have you, right? I can pick a key and I know, and so I feel like right now I'm trying to take use the strengths that both of these sequencers have, and have the synergy to have them, you know, play together to have.
Does the vector, does it quantize to key?
So
like you set it to a key and then you just start twisting knobs for the notes. Will it quantize those notes to like the nearest one that's in that key?
Yeah, like it'll only show you that key. So like, can you, here, let me see if I go to this view, if you can kind of see that. I think you can see a little bit right in the bottom right there. So like if I go here, let me just go to a different sequence, a different pattern. So if I go here to an empty pattern and go back to pitch, it's like right now it's A is the root note that's showing, because that's just the default that I chose, right? You can change and pick whatever you want. I can go here and it says key and scale. So now I can go E minor or major or Dorian or Mixolydian. There's blues. There's even different tunings, you know, like 24 tet. You can get in some really weird shit, like which I love. 13 tet, 14 tet, get all, you know. But then, okay, so let me go back to the normal so you can see. And then once I pick that, so now it's E, I'm gonna just say E blues scale. So now when I turn these, I'm just gonna turn these on so you can, let me turn off the delay on that. Or let me use a different voice, like it's better, I think, easier to, let me do it from the BIA. So if I'm looking at the BIA, right, like if I go into a different pattern, let me just go to an empty one. And like I said, like if I go here and to this menu, I can pick the key, I can choose the tuning. So I want it to be normal so you guys can see. I can choose a key, a scale. So if I choose D, I don't know, let's just go with blues, D and blues, why not? And now if I go here and turn these on, if I turn the notes, it's only going to show me with the notes in the scale.
Oh, perfect. Yeah, that's what I was curious. That way, it's like randomizing.
You can randomize too. Like here, I'll do a generate. Which I'll generate a pattern and just start changing it. You know, and like, there's octave, I can transpose it. I can choose the length, I can have it go backwards, forward, I can ping pong it. I mean, it's like, it's super powerful in that sense. You know, I can change the speed. But yeah, like the fact that and there's different randomizations on it too, which is pretty cool. Like Let me go back to put it back to normal here. So like there's like Berlin style, there's like a acid, and you can, you know, how you want it to evolve, low, medium, high. So if I go back here, and it starts putting it'll put slides in, and for the acid, you know, like for the acid. See, I don't know if you can see those little squiggles, but it's like sort of kind of showing you where it's like sliding. Can you hear it? Yeah. Yeah, I mean, you could, and then if you don't like it, just clear it, and then choose a different scale, you know. No, for this one, so this voice, I'm sequencing the gates on the BIA from the vector. And then on, yeah, so that's the voice for the vector. For the BIA, I'm taking pitch and gate out of the vector sequencer. And then same with the domino, which is my acid voice, which is that voice right there.
Okay.
So that's this sequence. Yeah, just to kind of mix it up. Like I'm sequencing I have an alternate, like I said, using a switch for the Osiris. I have a single cycle waveform on the simulator where I'm with the Volterra. But because I'm, you know, I want to use the Volterra and like learn it and have the option to be able to go back and forth. But really, like this, like for melodies, and especially if I'm going to be playing with somebody, I can go right over here and just write a fast sequence. You know, like.
Hopefully soon those Volterras will be able to randomize within the key.
Oh yeah, yeah. I know we talked about that. I'm hoping. Yeah.
Yeah, it's like it's the only function it seems like that they don't do that it can do with all the gates that it can't do with the CB.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah. So I think they're gonna do it. So fingers crossed. Like.
Yeah, that'd be awesome.
And
to
it's.
be able to set a key and then just randomize like what you just did in the vector.
Yeah.
To be able to do that with that many tracks, because the vector only has how many tracks?
It has, well, so on the initial sequencer it has 2, but then with the expander you get 4 more. Pitch, gate, and velocity. And then if you're using MIDI, you know, so I have one of them going out to MIDI right now, like I said, the Polycinematic. I'm actually sending clock over MIDI to the black box, and then with the breakout I'm sending clock to the Octatrack. So this is my main clock, and it's sending clock to the vector. Yeah, and then like I said, over here I got the EasyBot, you know, performance setup. I'm gonna have fun and kind of play with that. But right now, like this is it. I got, and the other module I have right here, which in a 3U adapter, is my DB25 breakout. And so that way I, you know, like if I like something, I have them over here on the floor. I just pick them up, pop them in. They're already tracked out, they're already patched to my Tascam 24, which is under the table, and then I can multi-track out whatever I'm jamming out, and then, you know, record it to an SD card and move on.
Those are connected into the performance mixer, right?
Yes, yep. So now so I get you know, stems plus master recording from the DB25, which is great. Yeah, I mean, like I said, I'm still patching. I am gonna probably pull the trigger on the accents for the Metron, and yeah, I don't know, like and like I said, it's like
so cool to walk through the case like this and kind of see how your mind works and what you're thinking about when you're doing it. It's like I'm super new to this, and so it's cool to get like ideas. You were saying how you'll use something and then you'll get rid of it, or you'll take it out of your case and then you'll come back to it.
Yeah.
For me, I can see that happening because you come up with an idea maybe if I put that one and then this one back in the case, I can do this thing with them.
Exactly. Yep, yep. And you like, and then you like get like, you know, maybe you're patching for a different type of performance, or, you know, and then you're like, I need a different module. The last module, which I didn't mention, I want to mention is this other 3U. So my case like is, just so people know, this is 94 HP. It's 14U. I got 3, 1, 3 on the top, 3, 1, 3 on the bottom. And then for the 1U adapter, I have right here another one, and I have the Sync Deferral by Noise Engineering. And basically, I'll put the LFO from the Batumi through this and attenuate that LFO so I can modulate like the BIA, which I'm still patching, you know, so I'm definitely going to patch some modulation through that, through the Batumi into the BIA, so I can have some more controlled modulation. Probably send some of that modulation through. I have a malt right here, and modulate some of the filter, like the peak on here, the Q peak, and the resonance on the MMF, just to get some extra movement. I like to use either LFOs or gates. That's like my big thing for adding that push and pull, like that call and response. With you know, even within one sound. And now it's just remembering what channels on what. So I think the next thing I need to do is make like these little stickers, like a little, you know, like a little label maker, and just to remind myself, because there are 16 channels on here, and you know, I'm sure you're going through it now, like, wait, where did I put I mean, I tend to keep the same things on the same tracks, but yeah.
For the tape that you put on the bottom of your mixer in your studio.
Yeah.
I got a 1/4-inch wide roll of that so that I could put it across the bottom of the performance mixer already, and like write what each channel is, because it was driving me crazy. I was like, what's in here again? I'm totally lost.
Right.
And like you, it's funny because somebody commented this in the chat that all of your red cables confuse them.
Oh.
And it's funny because I'm like, my whole case right now is patched with black cables. So I just like the way it looks.
Yeah, yeah.
And it makes it easier for me to see the modules.
Exactly.
Everything's kind of black and just blends in, so I can see the modules better. But because of that, you can't just like follow a color and see what's where.
Right, right.
You really need to label stuff really bad.
No, totally. I'm gonna like make little labels, and then I even got, I think on the Metron, so I picked up a couple of these Bafaco things, and I think what I'm gonna do is for certain trigger like gate outs, I'm going to change it to match this to the module, and then that way I can quickly look down and I'm like, okay, that is to there. And I'll probably get like another color of these. Like this I can handle having another color. I'm like you, the same thing. Like I started using a bunch of different colors, and then I found a lot of colors to be like, it just, the busyness, it just overwhelmed me, because I was already trying to figure out what the fuck like what I had patched. And then I was like, and now all these colors. So then, but then I was like, I didn't go with black because I'm playing in, you know, a club, and then I was like, I can't see anything. So that's where, and then I was like, I like red. And then I slowly evolved all the other colors out of my case, and then went into having red cables.
So like, the reason why I went with black was just because that color that was interfering with what's written on the individual modules.
Right.
So I could see it, because I don't know them well enough yet to be able to just like reach in and grab something and know what it is. And I would just like, I know I would just like retune something and totally mess everything up in the middle of the set.
Yeah, yeah.
So
I've done that.
So I could really see through, and so I wasn't like distracted by color or anything else.
Yeah, even Dean was like, yep, the rainbow spaghetti is maddening to him too. Hey, I just want to say a moment to the chat, because I had my back, you know, I was over there. Thank you everyone so much for joining us and all your comments. And like, again, if you ever have any questions that don't get answered on this stream, feel free to ping me on Instagram or in the comments below. And Surco, I really appreciate you, you know, coming on and chatting with me. And because, you know, it's like, as I've been patching my brain, it's like,
I learned like 100 things.
cool. But yeah, no, this has been great. Like
Yeah.
we should do this, more often. I know you got a show prep coming up. We should, maybe do it for something you have coming up as well at some point if you want.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, just hit me up.
Yeah, no, I'd love to. It's great, and this has actually helped a lot. I just found out tonight that I have a show coming up on Tuesday night in Denver. The Freak Boutique thing that WMD puts on there.
Nice.
And so this has been really helpful for me because it's going to be the first time I perform with my modular rig. I mean, I've played live a lot and I've DJ'd forever.
Right,
but I've
right.
never played out with this, so it's cool that I got some great ideas for me tonight of things that like, oh yeah, I can actually patch mine that way too for this, and that makes a lot of sense to be able to do that. So
Cool.
it's cool.
No, awesome. Like, yeah, like I'm curious. I want you to, if you don't mind, just fill me in and let me know how the patch is going. And then, of course, I'm going to tune in.
Yeah.
But, I mean, I want to, like,
Yeah.
check in with you in the process of before, as you're preparing for your set. But,
I was going to ask you one thing,
oh, yeah.
too, because I was kind of going through this with my case, too.
Sure.
And I think it got answered through this a little bit, but, like, kind of how you organize, like, voice versus filters versus whatever, because I've seen a bunch of people do it different ways.
Right.
And like in my case right now, I have all my oscillators together, and then I've got all my modulation, then I've got all my filters, and then I can kind of mix and match. And then I saw somebody recently that does like oscillator, filter, and they have whatever filter they like for that oscillator they put right next to it.
Right,
so
right.
Using it as one synth.
Yeah, that's
together.
what I do for the most part. I mean, not only, like, if we switch back really quick and look, like, so I like to think of, like, I put the voice, whoa, I thought it was going to, my mic might die in a moment, so just, I like to put the voice with the filter, but in this case, because I'm using the QMF, I put it over here, and then, so I think of a few things. Number one, if the filter can go next to the voice, I put it next to the voice. But then I also think about how I'm going to perform and play with it. So that's why, like, the Metron's here, I'm left-handed. I can, I like to toggle over here. So that way I have both sequencers at my hand. I have the mixer right here. And then, in terms of with the, like, how it's patched, like the assimilator, like, that's a lot of patching. So, like, and it's all going right here. So I didn't want to put it in the middle of the case or over here, because then it would just, it's a mess anyway, but at least this way it's like kind of all to the side. I still need to Velcro everything once I'm all done, which I'll do that and button everything up so I can see better, but I like to at least put it off to the side if it's like has like a lot of patching like that, right? Plus I'm not really touching that module, so it's like up in the corner. But here, like I noticed, like
I the same thing.
Yeah.
Because I have the Queen of Pentacles that I'm using for basically all my drum stuff.
Right,
and
right.
So that's like the first 7 channels in the Metron.
Yep.
And so I have that basically set across and Velcroed almost like a snake because I'm not touching it.
Exactly. Yeah. So you'll find like you'll have modules like that where you just like you want to group them together. And then but then there's modules that I know I'm going to be riding the filter cutoff, so like here I can put my hand here and do this, and play, like get a little leverage and sit here so I can free up my other hand to like do some fill or pull, like open and close, like, the fader, but still be able to mess around with the filter. So I do think about that too, like not only putting voices together with filters, but also where the position is in the case so I can get to it to perform.
It's what's so cool about
Yeah.
this is like you can figure it out for yourself. It's like this works best for me, so I'm going to move stuff around and make it this way, and I'm not kind of stuck with however that company designed their synth or whatever.
Exactly, right? Like, yeah, this is definitely like modular in every sense of the word. But
yeah, for sure.
Yeah. But cool. Yeah, no, I appreciate you again. Like, seriously, like this was fun. I know I'll let you get back to your Saturday night. I know you got a lot of patching to do now, and you got to get ready because it's this Tuesday night, right?
Tuesday night, yeah.
Cool. Yep. And then for everyone, the reason why we, just to circle back, the reason why we were kind of doing this was that I have 2 shows coming up in Denver. This is my first one on the 19th of Denver at Patched Out. I'll be playing with ALX 106, Alex from WMD. And then we're playing 1 week later for Velocity in Seattle on the 28th. I'm so bad with dates. It's that Saturday though. So like 1 week later in Seattle. So yeah, it's gonna be fun. I'm looking forward to both shows, and yeah, and I'm looking forward to meeting you in person. So cool.
Yeah, me too. It's gonna be awesome. We've been chatting a bunch via Zoom now, so it'll be nice to meet in person.
Cool. And thanks again, everyone.
Thanks for
Hey,
having me.
Dean.
I really appreciate it.
Yeah, of course. We definitely should do it again. And yeah, thanks
For sure.
everyone in the chat. Have a good night. Enjoy the rest of your weekend.
Yeah, you too.
All right. Cool.